I just want to, just like, no, go, get back out there. And then you get back out there and you're like, right, you're just swinging, you're getting blisters on your fingers because you're having so much fun. And then you try to come back inside and they're like, get back out there. Go have fun. Eventually, you'd be like, I don't want to have fun. Right? I want to learn. Please let me back inside so I can do something different. Recess would turn into hell if it had no time limit. And the next thing that we're going to try to understand in this class through the use of the yellow wallpaper is postpartum depression. That's an awkward thing to clap at, but yes, no, you could clap at it because we should talk about it more, right? We should definitely talk about it more. It's something that is very real. It's something that's very real, but for a long time it was thought of as not real. It was thought of as something that it was like, a lot of things weren't real back then. Yeah, a lot of things dealing with mental health weren't necessarily real. If you can't see it, how can it be? But as you guys have learned in this class, right, we wrestle with ghosts in here, don't we? Right? The text is a ghost until it's written. The text is real, and then it gets written, right? The ghost is real, right? We've all had ideas before, and these ideas, they're very real. And the ideas that you dwell with, the ideas that you commune with, are the ideas that define you. I mean, I know a lot of us in here, and y'all might leave me out on an island when I say this, but I know a lot of us in here, you've been on the 60th floor of a hotel building before, you went off on the balcony, and that ghost popped up in your mind, and it was like, man, it'd be crazy. Like, it'd be crazy if I jumped. Right? No, I've done it, where I look off and I'm like, man, how long would I fall, though? You know, like, could I do something, like pose? Like, just thinking about it, but then it's like a ghost that you're not communing with this ghost, right? Thinking about that when you look off the edge does not mean you're suicidal. It doesn't mean that. It's just a ghost. It's a ghost that came by. Now, communing with that ghost for days on end, thinking about it, wrestling with it, that's what makes you suicidal, right? That's where the fruits of it might actually come forth. But ghosts pass by all the time. Silly thoughts, right? All of them are intrusive, right? And it's the ones that we dwell with that we don't call intrusive, right? Those are the ones that we don't call intrusive. Now, mental health, yeah, it's a real thing because ghosts are also a real thing. These ideas are also, they're very real. And postpartum depression was something that was not treated as it should be treated in times in the past, right? Specifically the early 1900s. And before that, more than likely, it wasn't treated properly because they couldn't see the issue. Now, we are continuing to become more astounding in the medical field, right, with the way that we deal with issues. And we're learning about things that we thought were okay that aren't okay. We learn that every day, right? And we take some L's because of it. You guys know that there was a time where if you went to your doctor and you told him that you were like a little shaky, you're feeling stressed, you're dealing with a lot of anxiety, he'd hand you a Marlboro, a pack of cigarettes. He'd hand you a pack of cigarettes and be like, smoke 1 or 2 of these a day, you'll be fine. Like, you'll be good. Like, that was legitimately a prescription at a point in time in America. Medical doctors would give people cigarettes to cure them of anxiety, give them a little cancer, right? It doesn't make any sense. In that time, people would literally be hotboxing airplanes because everybody on the airplane smoking a cigarette. And so you're going to get you're going to get something, right? You're going to get a little bit of nicotine, a little bit of secondhand smoke, and it's because it was deemed as normal. It was normal to smoke on a plane. It was normal to smoke in a bank. It was normal to smoke anywhere because it was just thought to be okay. And it's hard to see it when you're in the water. I promise you, the people of that time, if you told them, hey, this is detrimental to our health, it's not good for us, they'd be like, bro, shut up. You want one? Like, that's why you're mad, huh? That's why you're mad. They try to give you one, right? This has been a pattern. And I promise you guys, and this is my promise, or not really a promise, it's a prediction, that maybe and it's starting to rise up now, but maybe in like 10, 15, 20 years, we're going to look at social media like we look at cigarettes today. Like we're going to be like, that stuff is not okay for kids. Like you shouldn't be on that when you're 11. It's going to mess with the way that your mind works. I'm telling you, yeah, like eventually we're going to realize like, whoa, we're letting little like 12-year-olds get on there and just talk to anybody and see anything and develop their understanding of beauty from it and all that kind of stuff. We're going to realize. And then when we look back to now, even the things that I'm saying now, I could see a 12-year-old getting mad at me. Like, you want to take my phone? It's like, bro, I'm trying to save you. And it's like, no. And it's like cigarettes. It's like, bro, let it go. And they're like, no, I need it. If I don't have it, I'm going to be stressed. And it's like, yeah, okay, right? So there's a pattern in our progression where we don't see the issues at hand when we're in them. When we're in that water, everything seems fine. And in the same sense, when you're dealing with the yellow wallpaper, right? The yellow wallpaper is about the rest cure. Now, the rest cure or rest treatment was what someone did for a woman to treat her of her postpartum depression. Now, you have to understand, before we talk about postpartum depression directly, you have to understand why that can happen. All right? Yeah. Postpartum depression. Post, and then Partum, and then depression. Everybody can spell depression. Yeah.
Is that like when a mother has a baby and then afterwards they start getting like thoughts of like?
Yeah, we're gonna get there. Now, to understand it, I love to make a comparison to soldiers going to war. You know that when men and women, when soldiers go to war, it happens a lot, not to all of them, but they come back and they suffer from a thing called PTSD, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder, right? And it's because they had traumatic experiences when they went out there. Now, war as we know it, it's a fight that brings about death, right? It's not good in and of itself. It's not necessarily a good thing, war, right? But it does have its ends, and sometimes you need to do it to meet certain ends, right? But the result of it, oftentimes a man comes back and his mental health is not okay. It's like, hey, before you went out there, you used to love 4th of July. Now that you're back, you start shaking and cowering in a corner because of fireworks, right? Like, what's going on? In this time, they might think, oh, he's just gone crazy. But in our time, we understand, oh, no, he's suffering from a post-traumatic stress situation, right? In the same sense, but even in a greater sense, because it's so sad how we've disparaged the concept of giving birth and what it means for women to do this, and how even today, when you say that that's like the greatest thing that could be done, women feel insulted. A lot of women actually feel insulted when you say like making a human is the greatest thing that can be done. They're like, you don't think I could be the CEO of Amazon? It's like, that's not even the point. The point is that making life is more important than that, right? And that war that women go to, and it is a war. Giving birth is a war. Their life is on the line. It's not a war like the wars that we do where men and women go out and they start killing each other. It's a war for life. Like it's the most noble war of all wars. It's a war for life. Someone putting their life on the line to bring life into the world, right? It's a beautiful thing. It's a noble thing. But it is, as I said, it is war still. It is war still. You'll hear us shouting, fighting, right? Crying, going through it, suffering bodily impacts, and surviving. And sometimes, just like that man or woman that comes back and now 4th of July is different, sometimes a woman comes back from giving birth and life is different. This is what postpartum depression is. It's like post-war, post the war, life is different. And sometimes they even look at the baby as the enemy. That's what Aoife was about to get at. And so you could imagine that if you're not thinking about mental health like they didn't in this day, this is just crazy. Imagine your loving wife, who is now a loving mother. You come home and you see her trying to drown the baby, the reaction from you may not be what is necessarily needed. You might overreact, right? Because that's pretty crazy, right? That's pretty crazy. And so the reaction from their time, which was not, as I detail this out to you, you'll hear how it sounds, and it's just because we're wiser today. But their reaction was, oh, you need some rest. This is called the rest cure, a rest treatment. As in, first things first, you can't be around the baby, right? You can't be around the baby. And next thing that we have to deal with, we got to put you like in a room or in a house, and you got to stay there. And I mean, you had your friends when you did this crazy thing, so you went crazy. So we got to keep you away from your friends. You used to like to draw, and when you like to draw, you went crazy. So we got to keep you away from all the drawing and all the hobbies. You just need to reset. Put her in a room, and she'll snap back. She'll snap back. But here's the issue with trying to solve a mental health problem in that way. You guys need to understand that psychology, many people still to this day, there's a lot of scientists who view psychology as a sort of pseudoscience, and the only reason why they do is because, bless you, the only reason why they do is because there's no control. You guys know what control is within the scientific method? Scientific experience. The control is the one that, like, you know all of the factors that are dealing with it. And then the other thing is, I forgot what the other thing's called, but the other thing is where the variables lie that you then compare to the control, right? And that's how you understand the experiment, right? The issue with psychology, the issue with our minds is that that's not something that's easy to control, is it? Right? You can't really know exactly what's going on in someone's mind. And so because of that, it's hard to say that an experiment worked per se because of the outward effects, because you don't know how this brain works. We still don't understand consciousness to this day. So a lot of the times, men and women, and trust and believe, women were involved with this, men and women would think that the rest cure worked because they'd come back into the room, and, you know, after like a few weeks of just her visiting with like certain people, just her husband and stuff, she'll be like, I'm fine. I'm good. And they're like, you're good? And she's like, yeah. I can go, right? I can go. And then they'd be like, oh yeah, she seems like the same old Martha. She's back and she's better. And she's like, I'm back and I'm better. And then she's not, right? Because she's lying. Because the mind is something that's hard to control. And so this rest cure was perceived to work. And just like how I hope you guys are keeping the analogy in your mind about how I told you social media, we don't see it because we're in that water. They were smoking cigarettes in airplanes. They didn't see it because they're in that water. In the same sense, both the men and the women of this day, they didn't see it, and it was because they were in that water. They were in that water. As in, and you have to think about it, all the ladies in here can conceive this, where you're in that water, you're in that time, you've had 3 kids, you came back from war perfectly fine, and then you hear that your neighbor's wife tried to kill her kid, you'd probably also be like, oh, she's crazy, and they do need to lock her up and keep her away from that kid. The women of that time, and this is what this story also captures, the women of that time were in on this too. Like they thought that, I mean, what are you going to do? Now, the truth of the matter is that when you're dealing with mental trauma like this, the last thing that person needs is isolation, right? They need to be surrounded by love, right? If they tried to kill the baby, you need like some family members to come through and help her raise the baby, right? Maybe have her around the baby and keep an eye, right? But just making sure that she actually recovers, not just cutting off the whole thing. So within Charlotte Perkins Gilman's The Yellow Wallpaper, she's actually writing from a place of experience. Charlotte Perkins Gilman was given the rest treatment because she suffered from postpartum depression. She was given the rest treatment. Her doctor said that she shouldn't do any of her writing. She was a great writer. She shouldn't do any of her writing, any of her drawing, any of that kind of stuff, not see any family members. And it was from this experience that she wrote The Yellow Wallpaper. And unlike the way that we use Twitter today, she wasn't just tweeting attacking the women that hate women, or attacking the patriarchy, or just blatantly like going for people. No, she told a story. She told a story in an attempt to capture the ghost, to capture this idea, and to show how this idea is not a good one, right? So she laid the idea out in a story. And within this story, she makes the husband of the woman in the story that suffers from postpartum depression, she makes the husband her doctor. Why do you guys think that she would do that? If we flipped the script and said, if somebody wrote a story about smoking back in the day and they wanted to capture how it was bad, what would the effect of making the doctor, let's say a man is told by his doctor to smoke, and his doctor is his wife. Like, let's say his doctor is his wife and she hands him cigarettes. What would that tell the reader about this doctor? Trust. That in fact, this doctor's wife, this husband's wife / doctor, she has to mean the best for him. Like, she's not giving him these cigarettes like, I'm trying to kill you. No, she's his wife. So she's trying to give him the best treatment for anxiety in their time. And so when she's handing him these cigarettes, she actually thinks that she's helping him. Understand that when we read this story, yes, there's aspects, what Natalia was saying isn't completely off the mark. There is aspects of control, but it's in the water. Not only is her husband a doctor, her own brother is a doctor. And he's saying the same things. Her own sister and sisters-in-law are saying the same things. They're all saying the same things, that she needs this rest treatment. Everyone around her is telling her that this is the best thing for her. And from the perspective of the writer, she's actually writing in a diary secretly. Because if her sister shows up, her sister's going to report her to her doctor, who is her husband, that she's writing. So everyone's in on it. Everyone thinks that this is what's best for her. And everyone, since they're all family, ideally, it's presumed that they're doing this out of what? Kindness, love. They really think that they're helping her. And Charlotte Perkins Gilman wrote this story to show this does not help. And when she published this, it actually kind of changed the world. It changed the way that people viewed it. It changed the way that people handled postpartum depression. And her doctor, the one who had prescribed her the rest treatment in real life, he had read the short story and he called her to apologize because he didn't know. Like, it's like a doctor calling you up and being like, hey, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, you should not be smoking a pack a day. I didn't know what I was saying, right? And so, yeah, that's what you guys should understand. Before we get into the yellow wallpaper, understand that this isn't written to necessarily attack men or attack women. We have men and women both functioning in this water the same way, right? This is written specifically to attack that ghost of rest treatment works. That ghost of isolation leads to some sort of healing. She's trying to attack that idea, okay? That being said, as you read it, yeah, you will see aspects of what she was saying. Yes?
What does being in the water mean?
Being in the water?
Yeah.
Being in the water is like analogous for, if you tell a fish who's always been in the water that they're in water, they probably say, no, this is just, what is what? Like, you can't see it. That's what I mean. When somebody's in the water, they can't see it. So back then when they were smoking cigarettes thinking it was healing them, like, they couldn't see it, right? The same way that everyone in here statistically has a social media account, right? And we treat it like it's everything. We can't see it, right? And in some time, once somebody, maybe a dolphin or two, hops out of the water, they look in and they're like, it's crazy. Yeah.
How do you think social media is harming people?
Specifically kids. Social media changes, it doesn't allow for a community to build a child in the way that a community is meant to. It kind of makes it the case that parents don't see it like this yet, but when a kid gets on their phone and they get on social media, it's like they're going outside. They're going outside. And the same way that you wouldn't necessarily let your kid walk down a street that has like a few clubs in it, has a liquor store, you understand what I'm saying? The same way you wouldn't let your kid walk down that street. Kids are scrolling through those streets. And like even some, like I've seen like some kids at my church, like I teach Sunday school at my church, and like I'm really like connected with these young people, and they'll like talk to me casually about things that they think are casual. And like sometimes I overhear them talking about things. It's like you're not meant to be concerned with those matters, especially not now, right? And it's because of how outside they are. And a child is meant to be built up in their home before they go outside. Any good parent would do that. It's like, before you go outside, let me tell you about this world. But a lot of kids are learning about the world and then, in fact, trying to educate their parents about what the world is because they've been outside, right? And so it's detrimental to them, but it is also detrimental to adults as well, where somebody, anyone who's ever posted a video of them crying on social media is affected. It's affected. You think people on there love you. Like you really think you're gonna receive like that human connection that you need, and it's a dissociation from reality, right? Like you're holding your phone crying. That's weird. It's weird. It's weird. And it's a part of it's a mental health struggle. No offense if you've done that. Get better. You'll be fine. Like it's all right. It's all right. But it's just no one loves you on there. No one does. No one does. They make money off you. Yep, they make money off of engagements. That's what it's called, engagements. As many people click and tap the screen. Yeah, I post up teaching videos online because I know it's a marketplace and that's what I have to sell. I would never sell my tears. Like, what? If I'm crying, I'm crying by myself, or like with my family, like to myself. I'm never gonna be like, guys, get in. Oh no, like they don't love you. They don't love you. It's weird, man. It's it's weird. It's weird. And yeah, so a lot of people are affected. A lot of people are affected. Okay. What is the yellow wallpaper? What does yellow symbolize? Joy. Yeah. Happiness.
It's just office space, like yellow wallpaper, moist carpet, and like humbuzz lights. You just like fall on it.
Sometimes yellow can be associated with sickness. Right? It can. Right? When grass is yellow, it's not always a good thing. Right? Most of the time, it's not a good thing. Right? Yellow can be associated with sickness, but it's also associated with happiness. Right? And sometimes you could be sick of happiness. She's put in a room that's covered in yellow wallpaper, and it's almost like the wallpaper is yelling at her to be happy. Be happy. But she's trapped in this room. They've trapped her in this room, and we're going to go through some of the text. But to be trapped in a room to be happy, an analogy I try to use for that is, guys, you know the reason why, and you can remember back in the day, the reason why, you might not have thought about it this way, the reason why recess was fun was because it was 30 minutes. It was 45 minutes. That's the reason why it was fun, is because when you went out there, you knew you didn't have long to be happy. You knew, I gotta do what I can. Like, hey, you trying to play tag? We got about, right? You had a certain amount of time. Can you imagine what recess would be like is if you tried to come back inside and they were like, go play. Go play. And you're like, I just want to, just like, no, go get back out there. And then you get back out there and you're like, right? You're just swinging. You're getting blisters on your fingers because you're having so much fun. And then you try to come back inside and they're like, get back out there. Go have fun. Eventually, you'd be like, I don't want to have fun. Right? I want to learn. Right? Please let me back inside so I can do something different. Recess would turn into hell if it had no time limit. It would. Like if you had to do it forever, you would get sick of it. And so in the same sense, walls telling you to be happy, walls that you can't escape from, suddenly a room that's meant to bring you joy can be a room that makes you sick. Like you get sick of this room. And you guys know when you get bored in a room, Hopefully it's not happening here. Hopefully I haven't bored you to that point. You start counting the tiles on the ceiling, right? You know, if you've ever been to the DMV, you start counting the tiles on the ceiling, or, I don't know, have you guys ever found a face in a carpet? Like I've done, hey, I'm not crazy, I promise. I've looked at a carpet before and been like, that's a dog. Like, that's a dog. Like I see a little image, and it's just because you're bored, right? You're looking for something and you find things, and to a extreme extent, that is what happens to her, the main character of this book. She is, this short story, she loses her mind dealing with these patterns. And they lie to her about where they're taking her, which is a part of the problem as well. They tell her, let me read it for you. It is very seldom that mere ordinary people like John and myself secure ancestral halls for the summer. A colonial mansion, a hereditary estate, I would say a haunted house and reach the height of romantic felicity, but that would be asking too much of fate. Still, I will proudly declare that there is something queer about it. And so they're in this home that is old and strange and a bit decrepit, and she thinks that they're on vacation. She thinks that they're on vacation. Now, all the signs will tell you that this is more than likely a psych ward. As you read through the text, we'll find places where it says that the windows are barred, that there's a gate on the stairs that she can't cross.
Very beautiful, very big.
Yeah. Psych wards aren't meant to look scary because that probably mess with the psyche of the person walking in, right? Like you're walking in and it's meant to look like heaven. Right? It's meant to look like, wow, everything's so clean. Everybody's wearing light blue. And some readers, when they read this, they think it might have been a mansion that was turned into a psych ward or vice versa. Like either way, right? Either way, this stuff is strange. We're going to find that her bed is nailed down to the ground. A lot of the furniture is nailed down to the ground.
Thank you for letting me.
There are bars on the windows. All right? Now, Let me explain where this place is. If you read a bit above line 20, it says, the most beautiful place. It is quite alone, standing well back from the road, quite 3 miles from the village. It makes me think of English places that you read about, for there are hedges and walls and gates that lock, and lots of separate little houses for the gardeners and the people. So the house is also far removed from civilization, right? Like it's put off somewhere. Just in case, if anybody gets out, they might not get too far. All right. Now, look at this. From line 10, the same page, if you look at line 10, it says, if a physician of high standing and one's own husband assures friends and relatives that there is really nothing the matter with one but temporary nervous depression, a slight hysterical tendency, what is one to do? Right? So right there, you might think, oh man, this is oppression. Like, oh, he can't love her. But just to emphasize, she captures trying to balance a place of love. Look what follows in the next sentence. My brother is also a physician and also of high standing, and he says the same thing. So the author on purpose is surrounding her with family that are doctors. So it's family that are doctors. They gotta love you. They mean the best for you. And they're saying the same thing. You need this rest treatment. Right? We need to lock you up because you tried to do something crazy. All right?
My mind was a chain, it be shining. If I had my gifts on my wrist, they be diamonds. If I had my soul on my feet, it be retro. Every time I hop on a beat, then I let's go loco.